Money Arata. Imagine having no identity document. It would be impossible to open a bank account, enroll in college, or even receive hospital care. And what's worse, lack of identity documents is a problem that affects more than 1 billion people around the planet. These people are known as the invisible billion. They are excluded, they are without access to social, health, and education services. And even if they are workers, they cannot have a bank account. And without a bank account, it is very difficult to make plans for the future. And Bitcoin solves that problem. Traditional money is centralized. Money issued by governments must go through intermediaries, such as banks, fintechs, and credit card companies. It is a system that generates a dangerous concentration of power. And when there is concentrated power, there is also the possibility of abuse of power. And these intermediaries can freeze your money at any time. They might even kick you out of the financial system. For example, PayPal might block your account without explanation. Your credit card might be blocked if the operator thinks that there is a security risk. These intermediaries also create barriers that simply exclude more than 1 billion people from the financial system. Bitcoin is more inclusive because it is the only decentralized money on the planet. It is only now that we can see the disadvantages of centralized money because of now we have a comparison. Now we can see the innovation from Bitcoin. And when talking about Bitcoin, many people think of trading, initiating risky operations to try to buy Bitcoin at a low price and then sell it for a high price. However, Bitcoin is much more than short-term speculation seeking financial profit. Bitcoin protects human rights. Bitcoin is a digital currency, free from censorship or coercion, does not distinguish against gender, age, skin color, religion, or political opinion. Today, let's get to know real situations that show how Bitcoin gives you financial freedom and how that freedom has already saved many lives. This is not financial advice. Please read the full disclaimer before proceeding. When a country is in crisis, keeping all assets in government-issued money is financial suicide. Whenever a country goes into crisis, the state currency is impacted. Let's take the example of Venezuela, a country that has been suffering for years with political, economic, and social crisis. The state currency, called Bolivar, is undervalued. In 2018 alone, the inflation of the Bolivar was 1,370,000%. Now, seeing the value of the Bolivar plummet, Venezuelans turn to other currencies to protect their purchasing power. And the US dollar is the most obvious option, but it causes problems. For example, when trying to cross the border with dollars in their pockets, now the Venezuelans can be extorted by corrupt guards. And to avoid extortion, many Venezuelans have started to invest in Bitcoin. They have realized that it is easier to protect their savings through decentralized money. Imagine a graphic designer or a programmer from Venezuela who's providing services to people in other countries over the internet. They could receive payments on a centralized service like PayPal. Now, the problem is that the money gets stuck in PayPal when the Venezuelan freelancer is then unable to transfer the money in PayPal, the PayPal balance, to an actual local bank account. And the solution is to receive payment in Bitcoin. The workers can save their Bitcoin for the future if they need later to leave Venezuela, or they can also exchange Bitcoin for other currencies, so it could be the Bolivar or dollars, and then they can cover their living expenses. But Bitcoin doesn't yet fully solve the problem. The Venezuelan government monitors the banking transactions, which are centralized. So to buy food and water, medicine and other goods, Venezuelans need to convert their Bitcoins to state currency, the local currency. And the issue is that transactions can be frozen if a centralized system of the bank sees a large amount of Bitcoins being sold and receiving a lot of money at high value. That is until, for example, the person is able to explain to the authorities where that money came from. However, this is slowly changing as Bitcoin adoption continues to rise. In countries at war, owning Bitcoin can be the difference between life and death. There is a famous case in Afghanistan of a woman named Roya Mahbub, and when the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 1996, Roya was just a child, and he had her books burned, and she was also banned from going to school. And years later, with the Taliban weakened, Roya discovered the internet. She took courses, she learned to program and speak English. Roya founded a software development company that primarily employed women. She also founded a platform named Women in X, which helped Afghan female students to get some work. Now, the problem is that in Afghanistan, women could not use bank accounts without the permission of their fathers or husbands. They could receive wages, but they were not free to use the money. When Roya discovered Bitcoin in 2013, one Bitcoin was worth around $13. Roya helped her female employees to install a Bitcoin wallet in their cell phones, and she explained what the upside was. If female employees received money in Bitcoins, their wages could no longer be controlled by the government, parents, or husbands. And despite Bitcoin suffering from many fluctuations in value in 2013, these women had gained more independence. And since then, female employees who decided to continue with Bitcoins have seen their wealth multiply. And one of them was the programmer Laleh Farzan. And for her, Bitcoin meant more than just a financial gain. It was a gain of freedom. Accused of behaving inappropriately for an Afghan woman, Laleh was threatened with death and she decided to flee the country. Along the way, thieves stole practically everything that she was carrying with her, except her bitcoins that were still safe on the internet. After she crossed many borders, Laleh sold some of her bitcoins and then she started a new life in Germany. For Laleh, Bitcoin was the difference between life and death. Hearing stories like Laleh's, entrepreneur Roya created a course to teach Afghan women how to use Bitcoin. Even though changes in the price of Bitcoin create some anxiety for those who only look at the short term, Roya and her students understand that Bitcoin represents freedom. Today, Afghanistan is among the top 20 countries that use Bitcoin proportionally. It is a decision that helps many Afghans. Due to the Taliban, many foreign resources were blocked, and traditional money transfer companies closed their doors to Afghans. And what didn't stop in the middle of all this crisis was Bitcoin. Bitcoin is more than an instrument for financial speculation. It is a tool of social justice. Now, why am I telling you all these stories? It is for you to understand that Bitcoin is not just a financial speculation asset. Bitcoin is in line with the purest definition of money. It is a system of credits and offsets. A system created to resolve private negotiations, allowing people to use their money as they wish without interference from any central authority. So when you come across Bitcoin criticisms in the media, consider whether the critics have ever reflected on how Bitcoin helps to protect human rights. Bitcoin is giving people back the control that they should have over their own money. When you use Bitcoin, you're part of a revolutionary system. We already talked about all of this in the episode number 12 of the Money Arata series. Bitcoin is the only decentralized money in the whole planet. It is a digital currency that cannot be confiscated or controlled by governments or large companies. Even if you live in a very stable country with a strong currency, there are no guarantees against a crisis. Take, for example, Argentina, suffering right now after years of economic glory. And also the example of Brazil, which controlled hyperinflation in 1994. And after almost 30 years with this index relatively controlled, Brazil is already seeing inflation reduce the population's purchasing power once again. In times of crisis, Bitcoin can be the guarantee of economic freedom and social inclusion for you and your community. Just as it saved lives in Venezuela and Afghanistan, Bitcoin could be the currency that saves your life tomorrow. Using Bitcoin, you strengthen a decentralized system that helps people to protect human rights, especially in countries experiencing serious economic crisis or wars. And if you learn to invest in Bitcoin safely, you could also become financially independent. Our course, Diamond Hands, was created for this purpose. You can come and learn how to invest in Bitcoin in a simple and comprehensive way, and also discover the best ways to participate in this network that is revolutionizing the world. And to view a masterclass on the Diamond Hands course, you can visit the link arata.se/Diamond Hands.